Go love your own enemies. Don't be loving mine. My enemies are the theocratic fascists. I don't love them. I want to destroy them.
Child made in the image of God. Oh no, you're not. You're a faggot. And you can't join your church and you can't go to heaven. This is disgraceful. It's inhuman.
Now, I've never heard of the word Christianophobe or the word atheistophobe, even though atheists and Christians are constantly disagreeing with each other and mocking each other. Atheists don't try to, oh, we're so victimized, and if you don't like atheists, then you're an atheistophobe. You're an atheistophobe. I haven't heard an atheist ever say that. You're an atheistophobe. You're a bigot because you don't like atheists, and you don't agree with atheists, so you're an atheistophobe. Haven't heard that. And I've never heard a Christian, oh, you don't believe in Jesus, you don't believe in God. You disagree with us? Well, you're a Christianophobe. That's it, you're a Christianophobe. Yeah, you're a bigot because you disagree with Christianity. I've never heard that either. It's like freedom of speech doesn't come into question when atheists are being ridiculed or feeling ridiculed. And freedom of speech doesn't really come into question quite as much anyway. I have to say, Christians vandalizing atheist billboards and protesting things about, you know, atheists trying to express their beliefs. There's no such thing as God. There's some of that, but I don't think I've ever heard of a Christian trying to silence atheists completely by labeling them as Christianophobes or bigots just because they disagree with Christianity. It seems to me that only Muslims, poor victimized Muslims. Oh, anybody who criticizes Islam must be an Islamophobe. What is it? What is a phobia? A phobia is it's hard to say these two words, an irrational fear. Not quite sure what irrational means? Look it up in the dictionary. That's what a phobia is. It's an irrational fear. So is there such a thing as an Islamophobe? Is it a phobia to be afraid of Islam? I don't know. Look around and see what Islam has done to various societies. Look what it's done to the UK. Look what it does to its own people. I could cite 2 people that I have known personally, women of course, who have had their lives utterly ruined because they were Muslims. Ruined because of their religion. So yeah, I think there's a reason to fear Islam. The fact that Muslims are trying to make it a crime to speak against Islam, to criticize Islam. They're trying to make it a crime to have a difference of opinion. That alone makes Islam something to fear. So I don't consider it a phobia. And I think that Muslims trying to villainize people, and HuffPost Religion is doing this. Pretty much the media is helping doing this by trying to legitimize the word Islamophobia like it's a real word. I'm in fear of my right to have an opinion down the road in the future. Will I still be able to say what I think about Islam? That I'm against what it does to women and gays and apostates and pretty much anyone who disagrees with it? Is it a crime to have an opinion? I'm sorry, what is blasphemy? It's nothing. Your God doesn't exist. You don't bother to prove it exists. You don't bother to prove any of your claims of your religion are real or true. So how can you be, I'm sorry. I think you have to prove gods exist before you can say the word blasphemy is a real word either, or sin for that matter, but I digress. Trying to villainize people who disagree. Try to make it a crime to disagree with your religion or your cult. Trying to make people think that anyone who disagrees with your beliefs are bad people. They're Islamophobes. They're bad people. They're racist, even though last time I checked, there's multiple different peoples of different races who are Muslims. So really, racist. Oh, let's change the word. Let's change the definition of the word racist to suit our, so we can claim it as our own and legitimately call people racist who disagree with our religious teachings. That's the last thing I looked into with the whole article that I saw on HuffPost Religion about how racist doesn't mean what it used to. Now it means it can apply to a religion. How convenient for all those Muslims out there who want to villainize anybody who disagrees. Now they can say that we're racist and we have a phobia because apparently it's irrational to fear Islam. You know, the belief that wants to infiltrate every country on the planet and fill it up with shari'a and rob half the planet's human population of their basic human rights. Oh, it's not right. It's not rational to fear that. It's not rational to fear that down the road you just might not have the ability to say you disagree with this cult. It'll be a blasphemy crime and you might end up in prison or worse, just for having an opinion. Oh, but it's irrational to fear Islam. I wanted to put a little clip up at the end of this. Somebody who said it so well. What people who use the word Islamophobe like it's a real word. He said it so well. I wanted to put a clip at the end of this video. And, you know, it isn't a crime to have an opinion. It isn't a crime to not agree with child marriage and honor killing and women not being allowed to say no to their husbands if they don't feel like having sex. It's not a crime to disagree with the idea that it's okay for a husband to beat his wife if she shows even the slightest signs of rebellion. It's not a crime to disagree with the fact that little girls are raised to think that it's shameful if they show their skin or their hair. Oh, we women have a choice what we want to wear. Well, okay, but do you really feel that if you don't dress that way, you're a whore? Because that's how you were raised to think? How much of a choice is that really? If that's what you think, if I don't wear this, everyone's going to think I'm a slut or a whore. That's not a choice. You've been brainwashed. And you really don't have a choice. And I'm not going to digress again. I'm starting to. I'm sorry. I do think there's a reason to fear Islam. I think it's a very scary thing. I see it trying to take over other countries and succeeding in some places, and it scares me. There is no phobia at all behind fearing Islam. Islam is verifiably something to fear. And I have known that since I was a little girl, and I saw the story of another little girl who was stabbed to death here in my state by her parents with a ice pick for simply trying to fit in a Western school. Anyway, I'm going to play the clip. This is what I think, too, of anyone who uses the word Islamophobia and tries to villainize people for simply having a different opinion.
And if you're a progressive female journalist who likes to show how non-racist she is by blaming all men for Muslim rape and sexual assault, I would vote against everything you stand for, if I thought you stood for anything at all. Besides, you don't need me to vote against you. You've already voted against yourself, and against every other woman in the West, you irresponsible toe rag. I vote against anyone prepared to tolerate any form of Islamic misogyny, including gender segregation at public meetings. And this is just one of many reasons that I vote against Britain's rotten Labour Party, of which I used to be a card-carrying member until they intentionally flooded this country with people from a hostile supremacist culture that is never going to integrate in order to drive down wages and buy the immigrant vote, thereby driving a permanent wedge of division into our society and shafting the working class they claim to represent, while calling them racists if they objected, and they're still doing it. So if you vote Labour, I vote against you with brass knuckles on, which is awkward as I've got friends who are dumb enough to still vote Labour and I don't want to upset them, so I'll just have to hope they don't see this video and we can keep it as our little secret. And finally, the Islamic supremacist propaganda term, Islamophobia, is the shovel that we've been handed to dig our own grave in the West, and far too many of us are busy digging. So if you're one of the people who uses this term as if it's a real word, or if you like to call people racist for criticising the religion of special needs, I only wish I had 1 million votes for this one, but the one vote I do have is focused like a laser on voting against every disgusting thing you represent. I consider it to be my public duty because you are the moral scum of humanity and you are an enemy of civilization. I vote for civilization. Now and forever, I vote against you.